Hello all and welcome to a quick deck tech with Queen Marchesa. I've made some, hopefully, improvements. I've certainly added some new cards to the deck with the new recent sets that have come out. But very quickly before that, I have made deck techs in the past that were higher quality than this, and they just take forever and a day to make. There's a reason that you don't see gameplay channels make high quality deck tech videos unless they're doing it for a living. It's because it takes a very long time, and if you're not doing it for a living, which I am not, then it's very, very difficult, actually impossible to find time to do both of them. So channels tend to go on either high quality deck techs or gameplay. They don't tend to do both. So hopefully this will suffice as a deck tech that I can put together much more quickly, and I can run you over the deck here. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more of this type of thing. And with that, we'll get straight into it. So the deck comprises of pretty much mardu control. It's lots of removal, hand disruption, board wipes, removal, card draw, all that type of thing. Basically based around giving your opponent a massive headache. This is totally different than the multiplayer version. This is the 1v1 version and it is completely different. So we've got discard effects like Thoughtseize, Inquisition of Kozilek, Duress that I wouldn't necessarily run in a multiplayer version. There's Distress, Transgress the Mind, plenty of means of disrupting our opponent's plans by having them discard things from hand. And as well as that, it's a bunch of removal as well. We've actually had a lot of new removal in the past few years. So we've got some decent ones in stuff like Abrade and stuff that was already in there like D-Spark, but then I've replaced everyone who runs Disenchant in a black and white deck now, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't have an excuse to take that out and run Fracture instead. It is a Disenchant, but it can get rid of a planeswalker as well, thanks to the black. So I actually forgot to do this when I was capturing gameplay footage and then remembered that Fracture should be in here. Obviously got some of the best spot removal in the game in Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile. In fact, the best spot removal spell here, I think. Anguished Unmaking in here, of course. Vindicate can get rid of lands as well, which not everyone realises. We can do that with... Actually, I'm just realising there's another new card that isn't in here, in Generous Gift. So, yeah, we should probably add Generous Gift in here as well. Alright, there we go. So yeah, like I said, lots of new cards coming out and lots of new removal, and not managing to keep up to date with it all apparently. So I'm going to get rid of the O-ring here. That's always been a bit of a tricky one in 1v1 because they can obviously remove the O-ring and get their stuff back. So Generous Gift there being added as well. Another quote new one, unquote, is this pacifism effect in Oubliette. I think this is a really, really good one. If they don't have Shroud or Hexproof, you can actually get rid of a bunch of auras and equipments with this as well, which could be relevant. But it's pretty much just in here for... There are certain commanders that don't mind being cast over and over again, so this will remove it whilst not giving your opponent the opportunity to replay it as well. So Oubliette is an awesome one that I don't see played anywhere near enough. Hero's Downfall was replaced with Murderous Rider. We get a Hero's Downfall as well as a 2/3 lifelinker as well. And then once that creature dies, it can be shuffled back into the library, ready for us to draw into again. Just trying to scour for all the new cards here. Baleful Mastery, that's another new one. Exile a creature or planeswalker. I include this as a 2 CMC spell. We can obviously cast it for the 4 and not give our opponent the card draw, but I always include it in the 2 CMC slot. Speaking of which, I'm trying out Rip Apart as well. I got a little bit of pushback on this online when I said that it should have been an instant. It's the whole Boros can't have a broken card thing. I appreciate that this would be pushed as an instant, but Wizards of the Coast are pushing power levels left, right and centre, so I don't see why they didn't do it with this. As far as I can tell, this is pretty much an Abrade, except it can deal the 3 damage to a planeswalker and it can blow up an enchantment as well. So white obviously gives it the enchantment. Yeah, so maybe if it could deal 3 damage to a creature and destroy an artifact or enchantment, you could have made it an instant. And I think, as much as I'd like to be able to deal damage to the planeswalker as well, I'd like it to be an instant even more. But deciding to test this out anyway, it might end up coming out. I'm not quite sure on that one yet. You'll all have to let me know if you have played with that or not. And then we've shoved in the Court of Grace now. So yeah, pretty much getting into the token producers. We want to control the game with discard effects and removal, spot removal, board wipe, stuff like that. We also want to have a lot of token generators as well, because it will help us get the monarchy back as well as pepper our opponent to death. So Court of Grace can act as another Queen Marchesa, we just get the monarchy back straight away. But we'll also generate tokens with that. Don't mind if we get the spirits, because we do have Skull Clamp in here, so we can always clamp the spirits to great effect. Another new token producer is Tevesat, Doom of Fools. We can make a lot of tokens with that for either chump blocking or skull clamping. The chump blockers are obviously useful if we want to keep hold of the monarchy. There is Elspeth's Son's Nemesis, makes a couple of tokens as well. And we can get rid of all of the fetch lands and spot removal and stuff like that we're not going to use again in order to escape her if we want to. Haven't had too much use for her yet, so that might be another one that comes out. I'm not quite sure yet. I want to keep testing with her. And then probably one of my favourite planeswalkers, I think Liliana Dreadhorde General is now my favourite planeswalker ever printed. Used to be Elspeth's Son's Champion. I think she is a very close second at the moment, but these two are token generators. But the great thing about Liliana Dreadhorde General is that static ability. Whenever a creature, that is any creature including tokens, you control dies, draw a card. Absolutely relevant and incredible planeswalker, and I'm pretty sure she's my favourite planeswalker. So you'll notice that that is another sub-theme of the deck. It's token producers but planeswalkers as well, so more removal, and it's a planeswalker in Ob Nixilis. I think I've shown you all these ones. We've also got some more removal on the Liliana. That goes with the whole discard and removal theme of the deck. Gives our opponents something else to worry about. If they hit a planeswalker, they do not take the monarchy away from us. And that's it for the planeswalker token producers, I think. We've got more token producers in the form of there's Bitter Blossom here. We've got Lingering Souls, which is actually really good. We can make a couple of spirit tokens, either chump block some creatures with that to protect our walkers, protect the monarchy, or we can just play it to skull clamp some stuff. And then we've got the flexibility on here as well. Either the same turn or a few turns later we can go for the flashback and make more tokens. This is actually more relevant than you realise. It doesn't look like that great a card, but yeah, especially with Skull Clamp and wanting to chump block, this is really, really good. And then an absolute all-star in the deck. There's Monastery Mentor, which we've got lots of non-token creatures that we'll be casting in the deck, so that will trigger this like crazy. We also have... where are we? The Young Pyromancer, which is nearly the same thing, instants and sorceries, that triggers on, which is a lot of the deck. So we can make a lot of tokens with those two creatures. Loyal Apprentice, a little bit slower. It can sometimes be relevant that the tokens have haste with that, but getting flyers into play for free for only 2 mana on a 2/1 hasty creature, I mean, yeah, this is well worth including, and we do want to have our Queen Marchesa in play because not only will we get the monarchy, but it can sit back as a death toucher to discourage people from swinging into us. So Loyal Apprentice, another really good one. We do have another new version of Monastery Mentor and Young Pyromancer, and that is the Sedgemoor Witch from Strixhaven. This one also triggers on instants and sorceries, and it makes pest tokens, which gain us a life when they die. The life gain can be relevant. I've actually added Shadow Spear in here as well, because 99% of the time we use Stoneforge Mystic and Enlightened Shooter to go for Skull Clamp. Obviously a really good card draw spell, especially with all the tokens that we generate, but we can also go for Lightning Greaves. We'll often go for Jitte with it as well, because that's really good removal, especially if our opponent doesn't have any blockers against Queen Marchesa. But yeah, Shadow Spear is just one more thing to grab with that, and the life gain can be relevant because we do have, you know, like Necropotence and Anguished Unmaking. Dark Confident will lose life to a lot of things, so yeah, the life gain is relevant with the Shadow Spear, I think, and it is cheap, so that was worth throwing in here. It can also remove Indestructible, which I don't think we'll necessarily struggle with thanks to having white and some exile stuff in black, but that will be relevant once or twice, I think. But yeah, haven't played with the Sedgemoor Witch all that much yet, but I do have high hopes for it thanks to playing a lot with the Monastery Mentor and the Young Pyromancer. So that's pretty much it, I think. Like I said, it's lots of removal, hand disruption, create tokens, play out planeswalkers, and I have had a lot of success with this deck. This is actually my favourite deck that I've ever made, Queen Marchesa. So I very much like the multiplayer version. I like this 1v1 list as well. It's really fun to play. So hopefully you all enjoyed that one. Be sure to let me know if you want to see more quick deck techs like this. And I look forward to seeing the Queen Marchesa gameplay, which will be out in a few hours from this one. So might already be out for you to watch. Be sure to go and watch that. I'm tribalkai on the eedi-H channel. Thank you for watching.